Woo. Hello everyone, welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's, what is this? The Broiler Chicken Show. Bark. Actually, somebody even said that they liked my little fake chicken impersonation. I think a farmer also told me that sometimes when he plays this in the background and I do the funny chicken voice, I can set off his flock and they go into pandemonium in the chicken coop. So I refrain from talking too much chicken. Arr. Dad joke. Goodness. So welcome back to the frivolity. This is our Broiler Chicken Show here for Sunday, July 18th, and it's official. Actually, I went and settled up, got Liam, I paid off his car, so threw down a whole pile of money for Liam's car, his little Toyota, so that's good to go. Man can't steal his car from him now. Actually now I have to officially submit my notice that I'm going to be moving. And another TRIOG local guy here, and I'm sure all of you on the site know about him, we talk about lots, but he and I are going to try and get through this crazy Burnaby, BC COVID experience. Should be fun. So lots of change in Brian. In fact, probably I'm going to finish up the school term here. Coming into our last week with the level 3ers. Going to be doing trading with the Dom, then heading into exams. And I'm probably going to be spending a good portion of August all planning and moving, because remember, old men, man, it's painful. So actually, if there's any locals here in Vancouver who would like to volunteer to help me move, feel free to reach out, let me know. Always appreciate it. And of course, sure, we could throw a 6-pack or two in the kitty one afternoon, and maybe even some steaks and stuff on the Barbie. To make it a fun day for us. So anyway, if there is anybody watching or in Vancouver and you want to help, feel free to let me know. Let's see. Unfortunately, with the market, I've been, I hate to get into this sort of whole conspiracy theory and all that crap. So, what's the borderline between conspiracy theory and just good old-fashioned politics? I was watching documentaries on Casino through the weekend, and the irony of it all is that you thought the mob were really nasty. Nevada is historically known as a very, very dangerous state. So the people actually that the mobsters were dealing with when they went to Nevada, they were pretty damn corrupt anyway. And so, but hey, you got to pass gaming boards and official votes and stuff, and the elders of the state, good state of Nevada, blah 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 blah. Line your pockets, you know how it goes. So, I definitely think that to a certain degree that politicians are being worked very hard here. And then also, too, I would make the argument that it's a very convenient sell for everybody. We have crisis, right? So in crisis, you can always justify spending. And the irony of it all is that Mr. Trump didn't even realize this. I swear, if Trump had just realized this, he could have literally walked right back into office, no questions asked. But he just didn't realize this simple fact. And any of you running for politics down the road, just try and remember this. If you have a crisis, whether it be, terrorist or, warfare, or biologic, in this case health crisis, man, you can just download it straight onto the crisis. Just blame the crisis, but tell the people to their face, I am here for you. I am your servant through the crisis. We will get through this. If he had just done that, the fucker would have just walked right back into office. But he just He just doesn't understand. It drives you nuts when you see that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's here nor there. And the irony of all is that, to a certain degree, I think Mr. Biden knows how to play the political game, and he's basically doing that. I get the impression that he's playing it well. The issue here, though, is we got a couple sort of short-term events that I think could be definitely political footballs. Like, I still don't understand the debt ceiling vote. When does that have to happen? Anybody watching on YouTube, if you happen to know that date, let's see what you guys are doing over there. Always fun to check in on these YouTube page people. Smash those likes buttons. Yeah, I always appreciate it when you smash the like button. I think Colleen's here today, so you can ring Colleen's bell if you so choose. Actually, she's part of the ladies' lounge, and she was even asking, Brian, can anybody follow along your crazy plan to make Andrew a millionaire? And I'm like, sure, why not? I don't care. The only problem is that you guys aren't going to, I doubt any of you are going to have the patience and discipline to pull this off. But, hey, you're welcome to follow along with me if you want. So, Colleen, you officially, if you want to make all the ladies millionaires and just say, look, just do what Brian does and just be patient, work your orders at your levels and just just run the plan. If you guys want to do that, you're more than welcome to join us. And really, the plan isn't really rocket science. It's actually stunningly simple, and I can literally go through with you, stock by stock by stock. Every single year that I've been here at TRI, there's been one of these damn VCIMs that's taken off. So, the point with all of that is, and I was joking in the lounge, right? I mean, anybody can do this. The problem is that nobody understands the patience and the discipline that's involved. I mean, nobody understands. I'll tell you what I'm going to buy. But, the irony of it all is it will get really boring really quickly, and you're going to lose interest. And you're going to be like, oh, well, Brian, what about this thing that's doing this? And I'll be like, fuck off. I'm already bought. I'm not doing anything else. The orders are set. That's it. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. And like I said, the good part about it for Andrew is if he can just stick it out with me, he has no choice. I mean, it's kind of like the crypto portfolio. I didn't even have any end sort of expectations. The numbers just kept going higher and higher and higher, and I was like, what the hell, fucking let it play. And we're dealing with 10 times the dollar size here, so really, and that was in 2 or 3 years. So, ironically enough, I don't actually see a hell of a lot different. So it's kind of a fun thing, but I'm not gonna really sort of tout it. I'm not even gonna try and sell it. It's not a sellable project. I mean, the irony of it all is if you took the level 1 program and you built your plan and you followed the plan, you could do this too. It's not rocket science. It's just nobody fucking has the patience and discipline. Anyway, it's interesting that of course, a huge part of this audience is all crypto related. And, somebody even on this YouTube page here, any authorities on crypto staking here? I'll never bill myself as a crypto expert or staking. The person you got to talk to is Sjord. And that's the great part about TRI, is Sjord is, he's basically the chief technology officer. He's built this platform that I've wanted desperately for like the past 20 years. It's taken a very long time and a lot of effort, don't get me wrong. But we're so close to the finish line on this. It's so beautiful. And he's really hip deep in the Luna story. He loves Luna. And man, he's doing everything under the sun with that thing. In fact, I think he was even able to launch a couple rockets the other day off a South American island, if I'm not mistaken, using Luna. So it's quite remarkable what he can do with that damn shit. Anyway, another dad joke. Sorry about that. But anyway, we got Farmer Dave on the site too. Farmer Dave is fucking just an absolute genius when it comes to DeFi and financing. And ironically enough, this is where the rational analyst really shines, because Farmer Dave takes his sort of fundamental understanding of the landscape and then just says, you know what? Just wait for the damn things to come back into reload zones and then go and stake to your heart's content. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just poetry. It's everything that I could have dreamed TRI could turn into. So we have a bunch of people on the inside that could probably help you there. Wild Man Mike. But I'm not going to be one of them, that's for sure. I will say with regard to things like the internal engine, I don't know whether this is updating in real time or not. I do know that Sjord is pushing through a new update, and there will be things like time checks and date checks of when the engine was last updated. So that was one concern that I had. So I really don't want to, I'm not going to be shilling the service until I know that Sjord's given me the green light that, yep, this thing's updating and running full steam. But, it is interesting to watch, as we've been sort of developing this project, watching things like, these internal indicators here. I got to say, this is a bit problematic now. And I suppose one could argue that if you did respect this signal here, you'd probably be sitting on the sidelines right now kind of happy. So that kind of sucks. This is like a leading indicator, I think, in the risk environment. So it's not a good picture. Also, too, I'd said there just a few minutes ago that unfortunately, I don't think that, where's the distinguishing point between conspiracy theories and simple good old-fashioned politics? And what I'm worried about here is that, we have a problem with inflation now because these central planners have really fucked this whole situation up. They act in a very bureaucratic fashion, and this is exactly what they're supposed to do. And there are guys like Stanley Druckenmiller, for example, who make a living off of just simply taking the trade that the Fed's fucked up on. And I tell you, Stanley's really good at it. He's really, really good at it. But I might make the argument that the Fed taking fucking interest rates to zero, and then at the same time telling the government, hey, go spend as much money as you want, go into debt to the fucking moon. I mean, what's that going to do to the economy? The economy's going to go fucking apeshit. And, oh, by the way, the Fed has already gotten what it wanted. Just even a few years ago, we used to joke, oh, U.S. economy's $12 trillion. Now, all of a sudden, Powell the other day goes, well, U.S. economy's $20 trillion. So what, the economy just doubled in size mysteriously? No, this is the whole fucking, and this is why people are so angry with these banksters, is that quite literally to offset the size of the debt, it just got so big there in that old economy that they just literally printed enough money so that now the whole economy, that huge pile of debt that used to be over there, relatively speaking, it's not that big of a pile anymore. I mean, that's basically what just happened. The only problem is the market goes, what, are you kidding me? There's no lying to the market. And this is the old, matter is neither created nor destroyed. It's, at the end of the day, what just simply happens is that all of us, we got to go fucking add a zero onto the end of our grocery bill. Because the market, sees what's going on here. I mean, that's the worst part about economics, is that these silly democratically elected politicians, and more importantly, the banksters who understand that they can leverage these idiots, they seem to think that you can get something for nothing. So you get all these democratically elected politicians, they get elected on fake promises, on cutting taxes, on raising social spending, whatever. I mean, it's a total lie. We've been lied to over the past 40 years, and the way that you finance all of this is all of us. They always say we're mortgaging our children's future. Well, we are the children. This is the future. Our future has been mortgaged. Like I said, add a zero onto the end of all of your bills. Which is sad because really what that means is like I try to keep this price point relatively cheap for you guys at about $1,000, which is a pretty good price, I think, to learn this skill called the process. But in reality, if the Fed's doing what it's doing, that course now, just to keep pace, it's probably going to have to top out at $10,000. So it's a bit frustrating, but that's the world that and the environment that we're in right now. And it's a tough environment to keep your head on straight through this. I mean, it's not really fair. Are working schlubs, are you all getting your paychecks raised by this percentage amount? No. So that means you're all getting squeezed. And I'll tell you, I can see it big time here in Vancouver. I went to a Toyota dealership there a month or two ago, and the cabbie, can you imagine being a cabbie in this kind of world, right, where it's like hyperinflation? The cost of gasoline is basically, I don't know where you live in Canada, but it's criminal. We sit on the second largest oil reserve in the world, and yet we have to buy all of our gasoline from the U.S. producers, and we have to pay, we are paying all-time high prices for our gasoline here. I mean, and really all it is just a big money grab. So can you imagine what a cab driver's life is like right now? I mean, it must just be a nightmare. So I kind of empathize, but I'll tell you, man, it's getting fucking dangerous out there. Just outright dangerous. And again, I went in and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be in debt. I hate debt. Love the car. Liam loves the car. So whatever the hell the bill is, I'll just cut you a check. And then they're kind of like, what? You're a bit of an oddity. So... But while I was in there, somebody was talking about a guy almost fucking ran him off the road because they're screaming at and honking at each other. And Vancouver's not like this. We were supposed to be all nice, polite Canadians. Like, this never happened in Canada. So, oh, God, it's getting scary out there, folks. And like I said, I still think we got another year or two ahead of this. Don't think that this is the end of the inflation game. I think we're just mid-course. You might see another doubling, another tripling. And of course, if you believe Willy Woo, I mean, how do you get Bitcoin price to hundreds of thousands of dollars? That must mean there must be some sort of massive inflationary shock that's about to come, right? I mean, doesn't that make sense? Makes sense to me. It's scary. The interesting thing about it, though, is that actually I like the idea that it might even be a deflationary shock. I do like the idea that, keep in mind, I've been a U.S. dollar bull now since the end of 2017. And I have to be, based on all my long-term cycles and greed and fear theories and all that. And I could actually see a scenario here where actually the whole world goes into some sort of massive credit crisis. Now, if the American taxpayer and your beloved senators and what's left of the right wing in the House of Representatives, if they can somehow stand up and say, no, we're not going to finance another big fucking dilution of our currency here, and say no to Joe and say no to these deficits, and actually, interestingly enough, the deficit itself is a major, major problem. We might even say no to the new debt, but the deficits are still out of control. And that actually might be what precipitates the crisis this winter, which might, is going to facilitate that $300,000 Bitcoin kind of idea. But the point I would just say here is, holy shit, these couple of weeks, man, or these couple of years, this is tough market. I mean, I can't wait till we at least get back into sort of a normal type of state where people aren't interested in the stock market every fucking day. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's been like this now since, I guess, about... Well, people kind of lost interest in, from my perspective, around 2011, 2012, 2013. They started doing other things. But then, as we started getting into that you know, 15, 16, 17 peak with Bitcoin. Of course, everybody's all jazzed about that. Then we had a bit of a pause there as we dealt with Mr. Trump. But man, it's been just up and down and up and down, and it's very, very stressful. I don't know how the end game of this is. Maybe it just keeps going and it's always this way. But I'll tell you, it feels as though, and actually I put this tweet out earlier today. It feels as though we are. Maybe I tweeted this. Maybe I put it in the lounge. I can't remember. I think. Oh no, this is Kevin's Twitter. I gotta go over to mine. Kevin's taken over TRI, by the way. And it's fine by me. Kevin, have fun. Good luck. I'll keep my minority equity interest, and I'll be your big cheerleader. All right. All right. So I like this is sort of that thinking of Willy Woo. I like the idea, like this. It seems like every 4 years there's some sort of big blow off top here in the corn. And we just went through a couple years of consolidation, which I think makes sense. And then we had sort of an initial spring pop here, a little bit euphoric, which reminded me a lot of like 2013 kind of idea. And then the Silk Road trial, and then the ultimate resolution of that. And then the Willy bot took over into the end of the year. I think that we're in for that kind of 2013 repeat. And I did kind of find it interesting that the other day Mr. Powell said that he and all of his Federal Reserve cronies have a big sort of crypto report, dun dun dun, that they're planning on. I think it's like the monthly, like a book report in school kind of idea, that kind of thing. That they're planning on presenting, to Congress or whatever in like September, October. And that will probably have a lot of sort of recommendations as to policy going forward with regard to things like stable coins, which I think, in my opinion, is probably the big boogeyman in the room. It's not really Bitcoin. I haven't really heard him say anything positive or negative one way or the other about things like Bitcoin or Ethereum. What he simply said is, store of value. So we all know how to figure out what store of value is. And if you don't, maybe look into that. So that doesn't necessarily mean spending 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 G's on a fucking Bitcoin right here makes any sense at all, but that's another conversation for another day. The point I would just make here is that I think he's totally comfortable with Bitcoin just doing its thing, but what he's really stressed about, and I think a lot of U.S. politicians are stressed about, is they want to get rid of this old fucking, where is it all of a sudden that you, Mr. fucking Simon Dixon, who owns Finex, who owns Bank to the Future, can create this thing called the U.S. dollar tether, and it's supposed to be tracking the U.S. dollar? I mean, how the hell does that work? So those people, they got to go. You got to get rid of that shit. And I might even argue that let's call a spade a spade. There are certain people that run the U.S. government. I mean, we all know 2 letters. They were front and center through the financial asset crisis. They even recommended their clients buy assets, and then they actually shorted those assets as soon as the client bought the asset. I mean, how horribly conflicted, eh? But, that's the world that we live in. Thank you very much. We all know who I'm talking about. So it would make sense that they would want to come into the space. They would want to establish their fingerprint as sort of a justifiable stable coin. Now they even have like exchanges and stuff that are all sort of linked in with these. I think they tried with Polo. I'm not quite sure. I almost get the feeling like they went into Polo, they took everything that they thought was of value, and then they just walked away and created like Coinbase, right? So anyway, shake it. My feeling is that the U.S. citizens and anybody that's sort of attached to that world, i.e. probably anybody who's in the G7, you're probably going to be mandated that you must use a certain type of U.S. stable coin. That would not surprise me one bit. And I think that's sort of, in an interesting way, I do like the idea that they come out and do that. And I don't know whether you've ever seen what happens on Phoenix when you get tether FUD. Phoenix, I think, is sort of the primary. Now, it may have switched between Binance and stuff, so, things may have changed. But I used to always like to follow the difference in price of Bitcoin on something like Stamp versus the price of Bitcoin on Phoenix as a really good way to measure sort of that Tether FUD. And it's fascinating to watch the bids for Tether on all the other exchanges. And I happen to use Tether on Trex to sort of quote unquote get into stable coin that last cycle. Man, sometimes the liquidity would just disappear and you'd be like, holy fuck, there goes 100 G's. It's like ridiculous. So I do not like this game at all. And it's interesting, actually, a lot of people that have come to crypto, they don't, it's relatively recently, they don't know anything about these stablecoin FUD events. I mean, this is fun. This was fucking gut-wrenching. And I hated it. It was terribly, terribly unprofessional. And a classic hallmark of crypto. So get used to it. It doesn't surprise me a lot of the kids in this space are bald or gray. Because this is a stressful situation. It's so funny about crypto is people keep espousing, oh, it's freedom, it's, not being... But I would make the argument that there are more stories of hacks and more stories of rug pulls and more stories of, fucking got you, cocksucker, nothing you can do about it, come suck my dick, what are you going to do about it? That's the hallmark of this space. It makes me sick to my stomach. So half of the shit, I don't even believe it from half of these crypto people anymore. I just don't believe it. But anyway, that's here and there. Actually, I full disclosure, I'm long the Coinbase IPO, and I've got orders to buy more down below. Long. I want to get long Novogratz. I totally fucked that trade up, but I love Novogratz. Well, do I love Novogratz? Maybe more in sort of like a brotherly way. But I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I'm long the hut miners, the marathons, all my funny little VCIMers and stuff. So don't kid yourself. I mean, I love crypto and I love the crypto growth story going forward. I just I'm pretty disappointed that sadly the unregulated space has actually lived up to everything about quote-unquote unregulated that me as a full-service broker working in the Canadian Securities Institute industry, I used to tell people publicly, you do understand if you buy an over-the-counter stock, OTC stock in the U.S., there is no legal obligation for any of these people to tell you anything that's the truth. There's no legal obligation at all. And sadly, I have to say exactly the same thing about crypto. There's no legal obligation for anybody to say anything truthful to you, and most times they are actually either talking up their book, meaning that really they have a massive conflict of interest when they talk to you about an asset, or they just don't know what they're talking about. They're just fucking lying to you. So just be forewarned in crypto. And this was a good experience. If I didn't force myself to go through this experience, I couldn't speak from this position of authority now. So, going forward, I think definitely crypto is going to be one of the key growth drivers of this next growth cycle. But nobody can come to me and give me a bullshit story about how, pure as this driven snow crypto is. That's just a load of horse shit. So, anyway, and full disclosure, I'm doing a fun little program where a local guy and I we're gonna work together, and we're gonna run my VCIM model that I was taught by an old VSC floor broker, and I mean year after year after year, it just keeps spitting up just killer trades. So the problem is that in crypto I can't do that same research. Half the time amount of coins outstanding on crypto coins is just way too much for me to consider. But, you know, I am. This is a perfect example of one that met that screen that's in the crypto space that, hey, we made a lot of money off of buying down here at 6.5 cents, selling up here at 82 cents. I actually got fills off here at 82 cents. So there's no reason why we can't do this. And this is the kind of environment that we're in. But my hunch is I'm probably going to be playing more in a space that I can trust versus just going and blindly buying a crypto story. Because like I said, half the time you can't believe half the shit that these guys say. Having said that, we do a show on Wednesdays where we sort of want to keep a pulse of the sort of top 100 crypto names in the universe. So I'm going to probably lean heavily on the boys. Once we fill that list out, then we'll just simply review and keep sort of a running tab on how that top 100 is doing. So I think that'd be good, just, you know, just understand what the landscape looks like. You know, I do see some people are asking a few questions over on YouTube. So before I jump into the Q&A document, let's just see if there's anything I need to address here. Oh my goodness. Dennis, happy Sunday. Once you're behind the curtain, you cannot unsee things. Brian, stop taking YouTube questions. Oh, no. There you go, Aditya. Aditya asks, has Brian stopped taking YouTube questions? And the answer is no. So, there you go. Sunny says, hi, people. The best show on earth just aired. Oh, thanks, Sunny. Sunny is slightly biased, so appreciate the sales pitch. Brian, how do you trade crypto bear markets? Do you prefer trading 1 year, then rest for 2 to 3 years waiting for a new entry, or do you prefer daily trading, M's and W's, etc.? My answer would be I would prefer to wait for weekly W's and then, you know, start to get really active, like on this thing, for example, when I started to see these kind of W action, you know, and you got like a window here of about 6-8 months where you can get all your ducks lined up and ready to go. Crypto, of course, you know, and unfortunately, you know, I've shown you that Benner image before, 2022, 2023. It aligns with sort of crypto winter kind of thinking. My hunch is that, you know, if there is a big face rip into the end of the year, I wouldn't mind actually selling off a bunch of crypto and just sort of, you know, sitting on the sidelines. And to be perfectly honest with you, what I'd like to do is take the next couple of years and really work on that Hawaiian retreat. And that's my next real mission in life is we've got Stuart and Julian. We've almost got to the point. I mean, the screener signals themselves, they're awesome. I mean, I know key reversals. I could easily just, you know, spend my time going around. I think I showed you I'm short the Canadian bank stocks. I'm all over the place here. Anyway, short the Canadian bank stocks off a beautiful key reversal signal up top here. So I'm just going to just keep riding this. I don't know. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't see any reason why this can't come down all the way back down to the bottom here. But anyway, so the point here is key reversal signals. This easily should be $1 million product for TRI. And now actually TRI went and hired a marketing guy. So all I need to do is put together about a half a dozen of these trades where you knock the cover off the ball with these nice clean signals. And his job's easy. I mean, fucking, we'll sell 1 million subscriptions if we just get our act together and actually polish the product. Of course, we got the school. I think the school does perfectly well. I've almost got Zach to the point where he can be the level 3 instructor. And I can just, I mean, hell, I can just sit and just watch all the instructors do their thing. Just poke my head in every once in a while just to make sure everything's humming along fine. That's fine. So I wouldn't mind in the interim because, yeah, I do believe that 22, 23, this isn't going to be a good time for speculators in the market. I'm the type of guy that if markets come down into reload zones, I can start throwing myself on like dollar cost averaging plans where maybe once a month or maybe once every couple months when I really see some real pain out there, I can start going in and nibbling. I'm not going to be aggressively buying crypto, and I'm not going to be aggressively buying Bitcoins. we raised, like a good example is we raised a bunch of money selling this Doge up top here. I guess that's not it. So I'm sitting on all this cash. I'm not even quite sure what the fuck to do with it right now, to be honest with you. Where do I want to show this? I guess we'll do it over here. And I had said when I sold up top that I was happy to go and buy this back at less than 50% of what we bought it at. But, you can see things like... we're getting down into 78.6s. I actually did some buying on Ethereum. It got down into a reload zone. So this is the kind of thing where, if you're a little old lady and you're like, okay, Brian, we're heading into crypto winter, and we're probably going to do something that looks like this. You never know exactly. Somebody might come along. Come on, you. Somebody might come along and, they call him a white knight and just step in and say, I want this, and, we're going to take this thing up, whatever. I don't actually even mind once we get back into sort of this 78.6 to 88.6, this little zone in here. I can start going and buying all those coins that I sold up top. I don't mind that at all. And, could I take the next year or two and just accumulate here slowly, dollar cost average? Sure. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I do like our level 1 instructor. I really like his approach that he teaches the kids, and I think it's very wise. Is almost sort of put yourself on a, you can think dollar cost averaging, but also maybe think of sort of reasons. So, maybe we dip into reload zone 61.8, so there's 1%. And remember, we have a rule: do not risk more than 5% of your stake on any one single idea. So, of that maximum 5% of whatever his stake is that he's working with, and I don't know what number it is. It's just it's a function of whatever his portfolio is. 1/5 of that, okay, we can go in and buy some. And then maybe the next technical excuse we have is we want to see let's say a bullish divergence in a momentum indicator. So price makes a new low, but the momentum indicator does not, right? So then on that event, I can go and add another 1%. But who knows how long this takes. This might be like 6 months. I've often seen that, where we come down into the reload zone and we just do nothing and we just flatline here. So there's no timeline on this kind of risk management kind of thinking. And then, maybe the market goes and at this point we now have the bull div, and now we start carving out good old W's. And so you're going to add another 1%. Well, you can see at this point now we're getting into the end of next year, a year and a half from now. And we've decided we'd like to acquire Doge back after fuck you, dickhead, did what he did. Well, it's a year and a half now down the road. So I hope you see that. This could very easily be a scenario I could see play out. No problem whatsoever. And then, once we're rocking and rolling again and you actually have like volume breakouts, notice the volume breakouts here. That was when you were supposed to buy. So on these moves up top here, when there was no volume breakout, you as a professional should have looked at that and gone, oh fuck, that's a trap. But, you're probably watching this video, you're not a professional, you don't know that. So take a screenshot of that. People are like, this guy's just a shill. I don't learn anything. I'm trying to teach you something there for free. So, point of the matter here is, that was a bear div. Maybe we wait for a bull div to add another 1%. Then we get the W. Okay, we add another 1%. Then, market's rocking and rolling. Maybe we throw in something crazy like a reload zone. So there's a reload zone. We're going to throw in another bid for another 1%. So at this point, we've got location, we've got indicator confirmation, we've got market structure. We now have the pullback into the reload zone. And we're at 4% now. Maybe the final coup de grace is we get a W there. That's my final 1%. Now I'm 5% in. And that took me all of literally waiting into, there's 2000, the entire year of 2022's gone by. We're now into 2023, and I'm actually fully loaded up. So that's probably the way that I would like to look at this. And actually, that makes sense too, because you're probably going to get a nice little seasonal rally. You know, if we look at something like the corn. And I remember there was one guy who, all of you that are new to trading, you're all going to go through exactly the same thing. I hope he learned from this experience, because it was a really good learning experience. The only question is, you don't know whether people actually learn through this shit, or he has to go through it 2 or 3 times. But, this exact same scenario where 2022 is a shitty year, that's exactly what this is. So, big run up. 2018 is the shitty year. Into the end of 19, then, on our Doge scenario, all of the cards line up so that by this point here, this will be 2023 now. Coming out of that, actually, he's loaded up 5% basically right at the bottom, right? In this particular case, right, we said, okay, our final 1% that we were going to add was the reload zone pullback, whatever that was. Maybe that's that move there. And away we go. Anyway, W's, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. And I wouldn't be surprised if the beginning, and this is when that Da Vinci guy and I, we did our little fireside chat, and we talked about, what's the future of crypto and stuff and all that. And we even said at this point, Ethereum should go back to its 50% roll. We all know what happened there. Well, this is interesting because there was a gentleman on the site specifically on this event right here. Man, he went fucking absolutely apeshit crazy. And I was kind of disappointed. But nonetheless, all of you guys, you have to learn at your own pace. So, and he didn't understand the context of what happened here. So the market went screaming straight up into Mountain Man. And all you guys, I remember everybody in crypto was, guys were all freaking out. But really, I think all that was just a very normal, healthy technical correction in that 2019 year. And then, coming into the end of the year, we had to actually go right back down to the bottom. And then, of course, we have Kevin's famous. And, this is interesting because I even think the 1% themselves, they did not expect this. And I've told you guys this before. They did not expect this. I don't think they did at all. That really caught them for a loop. I think that they were expecting that this was going to be the bottom and away we go from there. So that kind of was a little bit of an outlier. And good old COVID, right? And I suppose you could argue that's maybe your final 1%, that buying the dip against the W there where Kevin added his final 1%. I don't know. Anyway, point of the matter here is somebody asked, how would you handle that crypto winter? Well, this is actually what I would expect. And this is actually pretty darn normal. And if we go back to the 2013, 14, same thing. About a year of shit, then nice bottoms, then away we go. So, the sad part about it is through this, right, all the people that buy up here, they eventually end up getting screwed and they end up going, it's all a scam, blah, 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 blah. And this is kind of like my little challenge with Andrew. Can you actually identify a market that's done 70 to 80% correction, right? And then, of course, have good fundamental structure. I think at this point we had I think it was 14 million out, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. And, of course, beautiful W's. Can you come in and buy that? And I remember when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, there you go. It's right there. I mean, it was everything. And it's so funny. Market jumped up. I think it was up into here. And, Sjord, beautiful Sjord. God, love him so much. And maybe it was down in here. But anyway, market took off. It must have been this. And he's like, okay, I got my bids working to buy at $600, Brian. Okay, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy. And, of course, never came back. Poor guy. So, that, ironically enough, actually setting yourself up on a plan like this, where you're actually rooting for the correction. You know that this is a rise-only market. It must rise over time because of the whole damn halvening nonsense. This is a no-brainer investment. The only problem is you got to know what the cost of production is. So if you can figure that out, then it makes it really easy. Usually, ironically enough, you want to time your purchases with regard to cost of production. Usually it's about, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, and actually we did up all this, but the halvening over here, cost of production we figured was about $2,500 to $3,000, $2,500 somewhere in there, and it bottomed around $3,000 or so, $4,000. Then the next halvening came along. If that was the case, then this next cost of production should be about $5,000 or so. And I think we bottomed around, I think it was like 6,000, somewhere in that area. And like I said, I think COVID was actually a treat. I don't even think the market expected this. So it just goes to show that, even a commodity even can trade below cost of production because everybody's freaking out thinking it's the end of the fucking world. So, and of course, there's the other side. The problem here now is, if we just do the math, who can tell me when's the next halvening event for crypto? I can pretty much tell you where to buy and when to buy this damn thing. Anyone? I mean, I've been doing this game now 10 years. I don't see any reason why this would change. That must be so satisfying for you. What's that? Where are we here? 2020, May 24. All right, well, so we're already getting an idea of exactly when you want to invest in this shit. The funny thing is TradingView, for some reason, they don't even put the dates on here anymore. So it's like, you just have to kind of guess. Oh, there you go. February. Well, we finish at April. So look at that. March, and then it stops. Why does it stop at April? I have no idea. Anyway, there you go. So that must be fate. There's your next halvening event. And my hunch is this thing bottoms about 6 to 8 months before the halvening event at, what do we say? We went 3,000. That was 2,500. So that was about 5,000. So $10,000. Where's that? That's in this area. I guess over here. So my hunch is the bottom comes in somewhere around there. And ironically enough, that actually kind of makes sense, right? Because if I go like this, check this out. Remember what I did with the blow-off tops, right? All I'm going to do is just copy the price action. Man, I haven't even gotten to the questions yet, have I? What an idiot. Guys, I hope you guys are having fun. Anyway, we'll just go from here to here, the whole damn thing. So we'll go there. Oh, look at that. So, that's not really what I wanted to do, though. We wanted to figure out that around we bottomed. Remember, it was 3,000. Question is, when was the damn halvening event date? I can't remember. I think... Actually, you know which one will show us? Is, crypto chart setups. Where is the cost of production? Darn. Crypto studies. Darn. Too many charts. Where is Shane's cost of production? Damn it. You're on here somewhere. Darn. It's over here. Seasonality. Hey, here we go. Cost of production. Okay. See what we got. Hope this works. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the halvening was over here, right? Because that's where the all the prices changed. I think it was over there. Does the level double after halvening? Yeah, I guess that was right there. So, like the S19 guys, they're sitting right now at like 5,400. My hunch is by the time we get to that halvening of day, you're saying it's way over here. In fact, maybe we should even put that on here. Somewhere in there. 2024. Oh boy, this is forever away. Yeah, right there, right? Yeah. So that's kind of like there to there, and we're kind of thinking that actually this is more like 2020 or 2013, eh? So I wouldn't be surprised if it looks more like this. How am I gonna do this? Let's go log. And go. I'm just having fun here today, guys. Sure hope you're enjoying this. If not, oh well. I have to get off to Liam in a couple hours, so. 13. Alright, so let's take it. We'll assume that the start of the study is here. And. Oh, fudge. And we'll go out to the next cycle. So, something like that. Okay. Oops. Yeah, move that over. Move it on over. Okay. So, let's see what we got. We will go. Oops, where'd you go? There you are. Yeah, I guess. Interesting. So, I guess that's the start of the year there, right? So, there to there. Okay, so let's see if we can put this into perspective. Oh, darn it. Come on, you. Right there. Something like that. Come on. Okay. So, if that's the beginning of the year, and that's the rally, and this is the pullback. Oops. Oh, fudge. Sorry. Sort of hacking at this. How deep of a pullback do we get here? Looks like this is maybe a little bit too big. How can I do that? Better. There we go. Alright. Deep trough. Okay, I like that. So that's 160 G's. And then that says that we pull back down into like 50 G's. And there's your next halvening event over here. So I said that the cost of actually no, just leave that. So that the cost of production right now is suggesting this 5,000. If we get this massive inflationary event here through the fall and we ramp up to like basically 5x, my assumption would be that the cost of production also moves up with this metric. But in essence, I like the idea that whatever these S17 and S19s, whatever they are, it's probably over this window. Now, if they keep the money supply and they keep everything stable, then I think I would be... I'd be thinking move back down into sort of like, I guess, what did I say there? I said before like about 10 G's, eh? So my gut feeling was that the cost of production bottom is going to be down somewhere in that area. If they can ramp it up and go move it up to new highs and we replicate that image, then it's something like that. Because keep in mind, that's going to be an awfully big high, eh? And... if we did like good old reload zones off of that range, let's see what we got here. Yeah, so how are we going to do this? I guess it would be off of that low. So 78.6. Ah, interesting. So you can see 61.8 becomes 75,000, and that's basically the old high, kind of like the way 20,000 is the old high now. And the deep pullback takes us all the way back down into about 55,000 as a bottom. So, you know, I guess the question ultimately is, do you believe that we're in one of these 13 repeat scenarios? Because that was basically the price action of 13 straight up, then had to consolidate, then had sort of a sideways, and then a big face rip into the end of the year. if you believe in that, and I'm not that smart at that kind of stuff, so please don't infer that I know anything about that. But Willy Woo, on-chain metric kind of stuff, they're projecting up into this, $100,000-$200,000 area. I did say, kind of like Sedona Euphoria, I did say that if Bitcoin does print above $200,000, I will start selling Liam's Bitcoins. Because the whole purpose of Liam's fund was to buy him a house. So if I can actually buy a house, and $200,000 seems to be the magic number, he has enough that's a number he can work with. Then my commitment is above 200 G's, I'm going to start letting them go. But I really, kind of like I didn't want to change my name to Sedona Euphoria. I don't really want to change my name. And I don't really want to sell Liam's Bitcoins, but, a plan is a plan is a plan. What are we? We're at 31 now, so that's, the better part of 10xing from here. I'd be kind of silly not to take some profits. So just FYI there. Kind of talking a little bit out of my ass here. I don't know. I was kind of thinking we could have... I do like this kind of thinking. Actually, this makes perfect sense to me if we're thinking correction and then, rally into next halvening events. I actually like the idea of that coming in around somewhere between about $10,000 and $15,000, which would basically be double that last sort of cost of production jump up. That, to me, makes perfect sense. The only question here is, what the hell is the value of $1? And if the dollar just completely collapses this fall, and one end result of that is Bitcoin goes zooming up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, then I think the end result is that all of this assumption of what the cost of production is in this new world is kind of thrown out the window. So, hey, you're a Bitcoin moonist and you want to see hundreds of thousands of dollars. What you're really rooting for is, can I please see a collapse of the United States dollar and the end of hegemony? That's what I think the scenario is here. Interestingly enough, like I said, one interesting twist to this might be, though, that if the U.S. officially comes out and says you are not allowed to own tethers and interact with the U.S. financial system, I've always said that the Chinese and the U.S. economy are far closer intertwined than anybody will publicly admit. I do find it fascinating that as soon as the environmentalists got sort of a thing about Bitcoin, boom! Instantly China banned all sort of, carbon negative talk about Bitcoin and mining and all that. Like, they heard that message from the West and Greta loud and clear. So there's more going on here than I think that meets the eye. Maybe we find that the United States and China actually work in cahoots here. Who knows? Anyway, if this kind of scenario plays out, then over the next couple of years, I'm going to be very not as active, and certainly not as active on the buy side. If we rally into the end of the year, then that in itself is a sign that I have to cool my jets. Usually, we want to see weakness into the end of the year to set up the seasonal trade. And ironically enough, I'm going to be pretty active in the stock market, probably for the next 5-10 years. I really like the stock market right now. I like the growth story. I don't really like commodity investing. It's a hard asset. It can't grow. And I think I've shown you, we've had assets that have gone up like, just absolute insane growth rates. And even in the crypto space. So what the hell? Fuck, man. You want to... there are some great crypto stocks, trust me, and we've done really, really well. But, man, there are some stocks in the broader economy that have done even better, and it's just like, I can't believe I missed that. Like this silly GME, boom. I was actually touting to the goddamn stock group on my site here, buying this damn thing at $4.50 a share. So, you see what this stock's doing. And you should look at this chart and go, yeah, well, that's pretty much got your kind of trading style written all over it, Double bottom. Look at that beautiful W right there. And I was pitching the idea to the group to buy it right there. So, This is the kind of market that we're in right now, where you get behind some sort of crazy ass growth story, and fortunes can be made here. And the cool part about it is a lot of the little junior ones that I like and I am invested in. I'm just gonna buy some more for Andrew, like this one, WKG. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about W's in price. They've recently rolled the stock out, so there isn't much stock out. Huge buying interest. Of course, that's where I went super insanely bullish. But any kind of W here, fine. I'll be more than happy to add. And then hopefully what you see is this actually looks like a bigger W that's trying to form. And if that comes in, oh boy, we can do our foggy boggies. Foggy boggies are saying, you should probably expect a good run up to $1. So, these are the kind of markets that I'm interested in. I don't know, you tell me. If this guy gets his act together, has he got any chance to make any money? Can you see that GameStop kind of setup there? I mean, it's ridiculous how much money. And believe it or not, I mean, this is like I was talking on the site, like people just don't understand this. Is that I can look at a chart like this, and I know for certain this stupid thing's going to be trading at $37 a share at some point down the road. I mean, the funny thing is we do this all the time on the site. Like I showed you this crypto stock here earlier. It's basically the same thing. Where, over here when the stock, is rolled back and it's just dead as a dodo, and you look at the chart and you go, I can see the stock's going to trade up into this area. Look at all these gaps. I mean, this thing's not even done here. Look at all these. This is all open air up in here. This thing's going up back up to $1.50, $1.75, whatever. But just even in the short term, how high did we get? Well, we got up to 80 cents. And then right back down in the shitter. But the point here is just, can you be patient and disciplined? There was one that I had the other day. This is a funny one because this was one of the first ones that I taught one of the very first sort of students in our class. Did they get rid of the old data? Oh no, I guess that's it. Yeah. Down in here, right? Rolled the stock back, options director, shares for debt. And it was so cute. I mean, he was a super crypto bull. So, he was invested and he took the course for crypto. But he's like, Brian, I'll listen to you. What the fuck? I'll go throw like $500 at this thing or something. And he worked at a job that he absolutely hated. And he came back and he hadn't turned on his stock account for a while. And he got like an email from it. And he's like, I guess I might as well log in and see what's going on. And the damn account was like 10x the money that he put into it because of this silly stock went absolutely nuts. But it's just such a simple example of what we do. I literally can go through year after year after year just going through them. So it's not really a question of, is this going to happen? It's just really more a question of, are you going to put yourself into a position that when it does happen, you're taking profits? I'm not quite sure why it's not showing here, but this is one that I picked up through here, 10, 15 cents. I was selling it up at 60, 70, 80 cents. So the point here is that the only way I can do this and know for certain that this is going to work is that I know the amount of stock out. I know how many or where the insiders are incentivized. I know where, how much debt the company has, what's its annual nut to stay alive kind of thing. And because, of course, it has an attractive share count and insiders are long, usually above where I'm long, it's attractive for other people to invest too. So the point here is just that these are metrics that I can measure and that I'm comfortable with, and I can trade. It's like fucking awesome. The problem I have with crypto is you just don't know where people are long. I've been in this space 7 years, and especially like Colin's over there watching, and he's part of a group that works in the promotion space in this crypto space, and I think he can tell you some really interesting stories about the very specific conflicts of interest that go on in here. You don't really know where people are actually owning these assets from. Why are they being motivated to say what they're being motivated, or it's what they're saying on social media and stuff? It's a very, very dangerous game, guys. Very dangerous. The good part about it is when the market is pumping, your number one job is just to get on the goddamn back of that pony and just ride it as hard as you can. And it's great seeing TRIers. When the market is in the zone, man, these guys, they're just flying like rock stars. Did I lose? Did I put it all away? Anyway, I had a big old list of crypto here. I think probably the easiest way for you to sort of be in that sort of zone is just think about, is Bitcoin putting in weekly W's, right? I think we can all make the argument, and probably Colin could probably attest to it, and even himself. Through this period here, this is where fucking everything went just ape shit, right? And DeFi, and people were making just tons of money and shit. And what was it predicated on? Well, I think it was predicated on the fact that this was a big honking weekly breakout. I mean, big. Right through there. Just try and find that kind of shit, right? And really what you want to concentrate on is this. The only problem here is, does the market look like that right now? No. Probably, and I often say this, you want to make this really simple, is just use like simple trend lines. You can call it LJ, you can call it RJ, you can call it whatever the hell you want. If I just draw a trend line off of that peak to that peak, and then we see that battle there, now just give me a W. In fact, actually, you could have just bought that W there, right? Maybe you're already been a little bit more chicken, and you go, you know what, I'm going to go off of that peak for whatever reason, and where's a W? Just give me a W on the other side of the trend line, over there. Okay, fine, let's go. So I think, and you can see that I drew this trend line off of here. Fine, where's a W? Well, there's one there. That set up that trade. I think that was a trade that we did at TRI. That looks familiar. But, I, again, think like weekly W is really big. In fact, this is even an M. Like, think that weekly M, right? Nice breakout. So, in the short term, what does that mean? Is that I don't think I can really get, like, quote-unquote bullish of crypto until we can get our butt back above that line and then W out. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be doing here. No doubt about it. We're still in the down phase. We're probing. The worst part about Bitcoin is Mountain Man's still a little bit below us. Nice little FU to tag Mountain would be just perfect here, I think. Just piss everybody off, of course, but be perfect. And as long as we're making lower highs and lower lows, like I said, there's no bull market here. It's just not here right now, right? And really, as a professional, you got to understand the difference between that market state and that market state. They're apples and oranges. So, is there any bull here right now? No. I do like the idea, like that 2013, maybe we can sort of calm down, and then in through sort of like the fall, we start turning back up and rally into the new year. I don't know how long this is going to take. I mean, it's got to get its act together. Maybe it's got to be more something like that. I don't know. But I don't mind that idea, but it's going to be a while here before I get, like, quote-unquote bullish. I've been doing a lot of nibbling. I like to buy, like, 0.001 BTC. I mean, just stunningly small numbers on names. Hell, I even bought some Ethereum when I tagged that Mountain Man level there, 17 and change. I could easily see this come down a bit more here. I will say, though, that, with Ethereum's actually the best looking out of all of these. In that, what time is it, man? You know what? I better get on to other stuff. Man, I'm blabbing away and talking about nothing here today. Eh? Let's try and answer these questions a little bit crisper. So, Mike, hopefully that gave you an idea what I'm going to be doing over the next year or two. I will follow him. I'll hurry up and do nothing. Yeah, really, until you see weekly W's, there's no real bull market here. There are some names, though, like what was it? Chili's or whatever? I think, like, use case scenarios, kind of like what you're seeing on Ethereum here. I mean, hell, if Ethereum can put in some sort of floor down in here, there might actually be a half decent little trade down in here. So, just be patient, see what happens. No trade today. Mike, Brian just trades a plan that could go short or long depending on your personal style. Brian is mostly longing. Not much say. Yeah, I would, if I'm going to short, I like to buy put options. So that's the way I like to short. I don't like open-ended shorts. They make me sick to my stomach. Too much risk. Any authorities on crypto staking? Oh, that was like an hour ago, I guess, eh? He isn't a daily trader, right? Well, I can be, Mike. I mean, it all depends. Really, it depends on your plan. I'm in commenting on the S&P 500 and the gold here on a daily basis. Remember, I trade a lot of stocks. So, where's my stock list, right? So, I've got tons of stocks. I'm constantly banging out doubles and all that kind of fun stuff. Doing options trades, like this was a trade that I had to walk away from because it broke my bottom formation, so that was a good idea. Hindsight's 20/20, of course, but good idea that I followed the plan and had to walk away. So, I mean, it really all depends. I trade tons of different plans. Okay, I did all courses. This guy made me fucking rich. Sonny. Sonny! Wow, we definitely better show that one, eh? Good old Sonny. No, Sonny's not biased, is he? It isn't easy, that's for sure. Damn straight. And don't kid yourself. I mean, I'll teach you the process, and I'll teach you a whole bunch of fun ways to look at the market, but you have to put the work in. And if it's one thing I'll say is Sonny definitely put the work in. It took a while, man. Fucking, it was like pulling teeth for a while there, but he put the work in, and I think he got it off. And also too, I think this is a really good commentary. You can put the work in, but then you get into a bull market and you start to lose your discipline. And you start off as a really fucking bulletproof trader, but because the market just keeps going and going and going, and you got to keep selling your fucking newsletters, you end up losing your discipline, and then you look like an idiot when the market breaks, and even though you should know that the market was going to break. So just be careful about egos getting too big. At any given point in time, they always say you're only as good as your last trade. So just remember that. Well, Mike, yeah, I mean, as I said there a minute ago, I'm in with the boys. We're trading like 3-minute setups off of ES and gold. Like, technically, that's actually not a bad railroad trucks buy signal right there, Mike. So it really all depends on what type of trader you are. Keep in mind, I was a funded prop trader for many years. I was a stockbroker. So you can trade it. And the interesting thing about all this, Mike, is that it's time frame agnostic. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, you could do that, but he doesn't do that too often. Well, I do it enough. The question is motivation too. Like I think I said earlier, I actually really want to get working on this Hawaiian property. And I also have to deal with Liam right now, so he's going through a big move. So I got a lot of shit on my hands anyway. Okay, Mexico MX2 exports billions of barrels a day, buys its gasoline from the... Isn't this pathetic what the fuck these Americans have done to us here in North America? And then somebody like Trump can come along and go, you know what? I'm going to take a big shit on your face. And you don't have any choice. No, thanks. I trade 1 hour at the lowest, and investing is still the best way. Hey, well, Sonny. Hey, Sonny's pretty active over there on YouTube. Anyway. Mike subscribed for 3 to 4 years already, but just starting to watch now. Goodness. Okay, Mike. Well, welcome aboard. Okay, alright, so I should probably... MH says, listening to rants, it's easier now than 8 weeks ago. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you gotta take the education course just to understand my rants. I love it. That's actually probably why the YouTube and stuff don't harass me. It's because nobody understands half of what I'm saying anyway. That's good. Alright, well, it looks like Sonny's quite a salesman over there on YouTube, so I think I'm just gonna say, Sonny, you've got YouTube covered there. Thank you very much. Mr. Frost, the top 100 crypto show is awesome. I trade shitcoins. Yeah, shitcoins aren't bad. It's sort of the same thing, unless Bitcoin's rocking and rolling, shitcoins aren't going to do a hell of a lot. Actually, I moved this around, didn't I? Yeah, because I don't know whether I tweeted it out, but I was showing on the site earlier. Here's Bitcoin. Still looking heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to come back down the, bot targets down here. And here's the shitcoins. They look heavy as well, so I don't really see anything to get excited about there. I love the shitcoins just because when they can just jump up out of nowhere. I don't see anything really going on here today. I sure like this little XMY. There's probably money to be made on this one. I like the Doge though, but Doge got totally punched in the nose the other day. So I fully expect these things to get just absolutely punched out. Remember, I bought my my Verge at 2 sats, but oh no, it wasn't Doge. It was a Quacker. So I like Quacker's a perfect example of a absolute outright shitcoin. And they brought it all the way down. Whoops, that's US dollar. Well, ironically enough, you actually look at that chart, and you should, everybody who's a site veteran should look at this chart and go, oh shit, that's nothing more than a Kavark. Or a leper Kavark, I guess. Something off of that. Well, even there. There's 78.6, 88.6. All they're doing is just banging it at the bottom end of the range. But if anything, that's a perfect analogy of what shitcoins look like right now. They're not going to do anything unless Google and all that kind of stuff is turning back up. So, did I say Google? I think you guys wrote Google on YouTube, so I said with Google. I meant Bitcoin. Ethereum doesn't look, it's not great. You see where often 78.6 has come in as my ultimate sort of bottoming level. If this thing had to work its way down into that and do something like that, wouldn't surprise me at all. But it is interesting to see, and this is probably a function of DeFi. Does DeFi actually hold in here? Like, what are you crazy DeFi kids up to? I did notice that Sjord's Luna is actually up 3%. 3%! Woo! I mean, it's got a double bottom working. Technically, this... it didn't quite get down to reload zone. If you're working stink bids here, that's a trader's trade right down in there. So what are these DeFiers doing? Somebody's asking about LTO. Do I still like it? I don't mean to be rude, but it's exactly like shitcoin. It's perfect shitcoin. Just be accumulating it down at the bottom end of the range. Perfect. But it's not a buy until we actually go and W out on the other side of this trend line. I think I saw somebody on YouTube asking about this. So it's not really, and what I wouldn't be surprised is you can kind of see this looks like a head and shoulders, eh? I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a technical buy. It'll look like this down the road. But right now, it's just backed up into good trade location. I think I saw somebody asking about that. Yeah, so that's what Colin's saying. It's a lot of retests of the bottom. I don't mind this because technically this is. I think I showed you on that Bitcoin chart that I tweeted out. This is exactly what I would expect to happen the beginning of July here. So this was here. Like the beginning of July here, can you see in 13, we look like we were just going to fall right off a freaking cliff here. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what they do to us here over the next week or so. But remember, why is this happening? I don't think this has anything to do with these crypto stories themselves. I mean, if you are, if you're chasing, if you're buying an asset that's already been bid up, well, shit happens. You might have missed the buzz. I don't think that's a good idea. You buy up here, it's going to be tough to make money anyway. But if you can force yourself to come in and buy against bottom ends ranges and these kind of dips right in here, well, I'm not saying it's today. I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I don't have any technical buy signals or anything. But I do believe that the reason why the risk market is being sat on here has nothing to do with crypto. It has everything to do with the taxes. And we have to incentivize those politicians to get off their asses and pass more free money. And maybe it means that the risk market has to like really come off here. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And like, that's the same thing that happened through that last March 19 dump, right? It doesn't show on here. But that had nothing to do with crypto, and as a result, as soon as the market based, woohoo, crypto just took off. So this looks like a lot of names in the crypto space, almost identical. Question here is, something like a Luna. I'm not really looking for a new bull market right now, right? I don't think that happens till the fall, like I showed you with Bitcoin. Question is, can this guy get up into areas that actually give us a double because we bought here and I can get that free position? That's what I want. If I can, sell half on a double, get that free position, then I don't care what happens down the road. So just give me that rally through the rest of the summer, please. But is this a new bull market? No, not in my eyes. Okay, let's see if we can get back to the questions and see if I can somehow give you guys some value here today. Excuse me. Hey. Okay. Hopefully not too many today. Today the 18th? Yeah. Okay, cool. Not many. So, hi Brian, can you please explain how you manage your TradingView list of assets? Have you got a different list for each type of trading? You mark with color the assets when you are in a trade. For sure, everyone has his way, but it would be nice to know how it's done from someone with experience like yours. Thanks, Leandros. All I'm going to say right now, and typically what I do is I just run two lists. I run a crypto list, and usually I like to update them about once every year or two. So this is a crypto list, and various different site participants have ideas that they've had, and if I'm interested, if I bought the idea, I'll put a little note. If it's like navy blue, it's like my personal account. If it's like a yellow or something, then it's like DeFi that I had to do the boys with kind of idea. And if it's green, it means that I'm watching it and I want to buy, but I'm just not ready to pull the trigger. So that's basically, you can see just even recently. Of course, I've got a huge list of Trex names. A lot of them are just shit coins that are just sitting there doing nothing. So I'll just pull up the Trex account and just surf through the names, see if there's anything moving egregiously. And then also too, with regard to crypto, I've got, the little Shitcoin 5000 challenge. So those are those names, and I got a spreadsheet on the site that we pass around with those names on it. So I hope that helps. Over in the stock market, same sort of thing. Create a list. I usually like to update these lists about once a year or so. And we also have stock pickers clubs. So we also have a combine at TRI. So these are the contracts, like I said. For anybody who's wondering whether we day trade, actually we run like a day trading room Monday to Friday. Full video for about 2 or 3 hours a day through the New York kill zone. So, and actually, hell, you could come on and just watch that for free for 30 days. I mean, Jesus, great value out of that video. And all we're doing is just talking about day trades. Like here, for example, this could very easily be, yep, there's a nice bullish divergence and momentum forming. This is 50% rule is up here. There is the VWAP. So in essence, actually it'd be interesting who on the site can help Mike. What would we call this trade setup? It's actually a pretty straightforward, pretty typical trade setup. Oh, look at that. It's almost exactly 2 to 1. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. So that's actually an incredibly cliche trade. And that, what is that? That's off a 3-minute chart trading gold. So how do you like that, Mike? So come and watch the daily, or I guess the what do we call it? The battle stations videos on the site. What about that? So to answer that person's question, like I said, I have a couple of the day trading matrix sets that I like to follow, plus a bunch of ETFs, all the bear ETFs that I have on the books as hedges, and good old Kavarkanator stocks, Ray Z stocks, some of Davo's stocks, some community picks, some WWF, I can't remember what that's in reference to. Online penny stocks that I'm watching, good old Kathy Woods, VCIM names. And, same sort of thing, the color will donate which account. Pink is my cash account. Blue is my registered account. Yellow means that I've either done an options trade, or Zach and I are doing a derivatives trade through his account, because like I said, we got a whole bunch of different accounts we're running. Andrew and I, of course, will be doing a plan off of another account that we'll set up here. In fact, actually, I even think I have his list here. A and B, right? So we already even have the list. The irony of it all is there's 6 trades, and probably the trades are already sitting here right in front of our faces, because we already vetted the stocks. Like this one we did some research on the other day. You can see the trade's basically setting itself up. It's so fucking cliche, it's ridiculous. So you can even see trade number 1 of 6. I've already got it ready to go. All I got to do is just throw in a bid here at 13, sell half of it at 29, sell half of it at 48. The orders are working. You tell me. If this thing has any future at all, do we have any shot of getting filled at 48 cents there? I mean, you tell me. That, oh, by the way, that high there, $5. So, I mean, ironically enough, this is no-brainer. This is idiot investing. It's just a question of, are you patient and are you disciplined? It's just that simple. So, to answer your question, of course, we haven't started the account yet, so there are no notations. But I'm already starting to do my research. Like I said, I've already found a bunch of names that are totally investable. So I hope that helps answer your question. And of course, the longer that you hang around TRI, get to know the people on the site. Like one gentleman on the site who is super into SPACs. You can see he's got all his SPACs and all his warrants all ready to go. Of course, some of the names I like, I'm in there too. Some of them I don't like. I will not buy a tricycle company. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. But if Joe goes and makes a fortune on this, I'll give him kudos. Anyway, just playing. Zach and I were loaded up on a bunch of warrants. I mean, here's great. Look at this. That was such simple trading. I mean, look at these numbers. 14 cents. Trades up to $1.70. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's just like shooting fish in a barrel. You just gotta have patience and discipline. I mean, that's all it is. Actually, this is an interesting one. This is one that was went off the board. They rolled it back, and now they're trying desperately to bring it back. And look at that. That's a goddamn weekly W. Zach and I, we might even be able to make some money on that, even though it's in my dogs list. Here's a funny one that one of our site members found from last cycle in crypto, but it's a really good lesson that you got to be careful on the Canadian exchange. There are some good Canadian exchanges, and there are some not so good at Canadian exchanges. So a stock that's listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange, this CSE, stay away from them. That's like basically OTC down in the States. The ones that I like to concentrate on for this particular plan and that sort of 10x, they're all traded on the TSX Venture Exchange. So just FYI on that. All right, hope that helps answer that question. Okay, 2. Hi, Brian. What's your view about the huge amount of liquidities sucked out of the system by banks using the Fed's reserve repo facilities? I don't think it's being sucked out. I think they've done too much liquidity. We've heard recently that Wells Fargo is cutting revolving credit facilities and that banks have reduced the amount of lending. Yeah, well, I also heard too that Bond King guy says that Wells Fargo is sort of in the penalty box from the 2008 financial crisis. So they have to keep a certain amount of cash versus lending on the books. And he was saying that the reason why they actually are not renewing lines of credit has more to do with that than any sort of problem at Wells Fargo. And the Fed needs to sort of loosen up the lines on them. Can this be the canary in the coal mine? Well, the problem here is that the coal mine was in trouble in March of 2000. So that canary is now 21 years old. I might argue now looking for a crisis, looking for collapse is kind of backward looking. Which makes sense. That's exactly how you and the public are supposed to be thinking. So, ironically enough, the canary in the coal mine should be, wow, Mr. Powell just said that the banksters won. So, banks don't have anything to worry about at all. The sickness now has justified massive social spending programs. The governments around the world now, from what I'm hearing, Europe is getting a little pissed off at China. Now they want to do a Belt and Road infrastructure initiative. And North America here wants to do a big infrastructure initiative. So, and you think about what the economies in the world did in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, I would actually make the argument that you are thinking exactly wrong here. Which makes sense, because like I said, that's exactly what you're supposed to be thinking. Can it be the same lending contraction as in 2008 within exactly. So that's exactly what the public is thinking. It's exactly what the public expects. The perfect analogy to that was when I was, after 9/11, I was working at Transport Canada in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. No offense to the good people of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, but to 90% of the world, they haven't got a fucking clue where this is. And if they do think about this place, they think of things like lumberjacks. And they think of things like coal mines and wood. Fish. So the irony of all of this is that I was sitting there in Transport Canada conference calls because I ran the executive committee's video conferencing equipment. And they sat there literally and talked for months on end about Osama bin Laden getting on scuba gear and coming and trying to sink all the cruise ships in Vancouver Harbor. And that's all they thought about. Was Osama bin Laden in scuba gear. Oh God, you gotta be kidding me. That's what we pay these fucking mindless idiot pencil paper pushers to do. I mean, it was embarrassing, and yet all you had to do is sit there and laugh. I mean, what else could you do? I mean, and they took this shit so fucking seriously. Oh well. I don't know. Has anybody ever heard of any sort of terrorist activity in Canada? Do the good people of Saudi Arabia even know where the fuck Canada is? Am I getting through to any of you guys? Do you see where I'm going with this? I don't know. Would have thought I would have gotten a chuckle out of one of you. Nobody said anything, eh? I don't know. Anyway, so looking for another financial asset crisis in the United States actually I think is backward looking. It's just not going to happen. I could see very easily that we have an absolute economic disaster in countries like Australia, in countries like South Africa. Has anybody seen what's going on in South Africa these days? It's getting a little crazy. I could see an economic disaster in Canada. Easily. This got disaster written all over it. So that nobody's thinking that. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Troops were sent to South Africa. All right. So I might actually make the argument that I actually want to be in USA. I want to be long US dollars. I've got a buddy of mine over there in Hawaii, and I would desperately love to buy that Hawaiian real estate. God, I would so love to do that deal. I thought, while the crypto market was absolutely stupid there back in the spring and you guys were all feeling stinking rich, I thought, what the hell, let's all pool some money together and go and buy that property. And then the crypto market fell apart and sort of your guys' appetite obviously fell apart. So I can't do that route, but Zach and I are still trying to figure out how we're going to spin this. But Sebastian was working away on the NFT. And I would like to still let him bring that product. I'm still waiting on him. And if we're still lucky, like Colleen's like, hey, I thought we were going to have an altcoin summer here. What the fuck? So keep in mind, it's still the beginning of July. If we go into nice little rally mode here into the latter part of August, we might still get a half decent little crypto seasonal rally here. But maybe at that point we'll just test the waters and see if the people that were interested. I know Innie, for example, you never really did get back to me. I don't know whether you're interested in getting in on this, but a lot of people that were interested before, you might still be very interested, and if that's the case, we might still go ahead with this. But regardless, like I said, I've got a whole bunch of money sitting in a Canadian bank account, and I hate it sitting here. Because frankly speaking, I'm short the Canadian banks right now. I would like to get my money and get myself the hell out of here. The good thing is I do have like Liam set up with the state. He's guaranteed supports, so that's the good part about that. And so that's one reason why I'll probably never leave BC. Brian, Brian's a cheap ass, right? If somebody's gonna pay for something, I'll let them volunteer. I don't know. I hate to say it, Matt, but I think we just had the big inflationary push. I think actually now you're going to get a big deflationary push here. And then I could see the shit really hit the fan sometime this fall. I'm not quite sure how that plays out, to be honest with you. It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. But unfortunately, unless it's like one of my funny little VCIMers where we're getting in below where the directors are long, and they know that it's like a fucking deposit sitting that's worth $1 million, and there's no debt, and there's low shares, then, I'll buy those just because they're no-brainer investments. That Andrew fucking make him a millionaire kind of thing. But on balance, I'm not really a commodity bull anymore, Matt. I would much rather take that money and try and go find a really good quality crypto company, mining, infrastructure support, to have it some, Chico's names with all the various different sort of fundamental spins on the use cases of the coins, Sjord's coins like Luna ideas. I'd much rather you go that angle than go just buying commodities and buying metals here. I really, it's everything that I teach. So if I actually came to you and I said, yeah, I'm a rah crypto bull, then I would be a complete and utter hypocrite. So I eat my own cooking. I am not commodity bullish. I'm actually commodity bearish, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, well, hopefully that helps. Lots of fun stuff we talked about here. I like the idea that the whole fucking world goes into a deflationary spiral, and anybody who's outside of the G7 could be in serious, serious trouble. Is it worth it to trade on days where there's an event happening? Example, it seems like every time Powell speaks, all the stops are run on the big indexes. Seems like days that aren't, seems like days like that aren't worth trading. if the powers that be are shaking the market. Obviously, they know what news is coming out and are taking advantage of that to manipulate the market and find liquidity pools. All right, so my question for you is, could you build a setup that identifies that type of market state? I'm sure in our lectures we told you that Johnny Hoagland used to always tell me that, as an experiment, let's say you, short M's and buy W's, you're going to actually place your order to enter the trade because it's a screwy market state, like say it's a summer market, so that definitely has implications about liquidity, or there's news events. Mr. Powell's speaking, so ahead of that, that there's going to be suspect liquidity. Maybe you put your order where you actually would have put your stop before. So all of your liquidity hunts, fuck you moves, actually are trade setups for you. You're looking for the fuck you move. That's actually what gets you to take the trade. And we call it on the site, we call it a SFU, because we had one guy out of Argentina, Sebastian, who loved that setup, and he practiced it. And we have another guy on the site, Craig, who for some reason his screen name was Casper when he first came on the site. I used to always call him Casey, and it used to drive him crazy. So now I just call him by his name, so not to screw that up. And his dog's name is Karma, and she's a female, so it's kind of cute. But anyway, point of the matter here is he's gotten really, really good at trading that setup. I mean, fucking ridiculously good. So Longbow, what I would suggest you do is park yourself in that day trader room. Ask Craig to show you the SFU setups and get practicing. That might be now your new setup du jour. When trends are not liquid and markets aren't liquid, maybe mark summer state. And you can see that the flow of trade is very choppy. You switch to SFU setups. There's nothing wrong with that. I will say that the level 1 program was designed to get you to work with a plan. It's really more designed to specifically speak to the swing trader or the position trader. Not so much the day trader. If anything, I think it makes almost perfect sense that when you transition into the level 2 program, we're going to throw a ton of sort of day trader concepts at you: volume profile, horizontal support and resistance, gap theory, WD GAN, all that kind of fun stuff, to help you sharpen that sort of day trader kind of mental mindset. Higher octane, more activity, no doubt about it. Not sort of introductory. Level 1, I think where you are right now, introductory, you're learning the basics and the fundamentals of running a business in this space. And as you sort of work further and further along, you're actually going to realize that there are setups that we actually trade that are specifically designed around exactly this. So I hope that helps. I will say too, it's not a good idea to take trades while these kind of events are going on. It's probably in your best interest, and a guy like Hoag, he would actually just go from trader to trader to trader. If there was some sort of big econ coming down, I used to trade crude for them, so that meant every single Wednesday there was the API data that came out. You had to be out of the market, and he would just be like, I don't care. The moment it comes out, you can strap the position right back on. But 10 minutes before the news comes out, you got to square up positions. So I might suggest actually, especially in your very new education state, don't push it. If there's a big econ going down the pike, maybe best just to leave the market alone until that's done. Right, number 4. So if big institutions are buying in one kill zone and dropping prices later on for other kill zones, so they can all get in around the same price, would it be fair to say all the big players are working together, or do you think it's just one big entry maybe one big institution acting as an umbrella for all the others. I'm just trying to understand the rationale behind big institutions wanting the same average price as one another. This course is gold, Brian. Thank you. All right, cool. I would actually say that the market itself is not really much different than like the TRI lounge. It's just a question of size. And the weird thing is my old man used to always say this. He used to always say, it doesn't matter how much money you make, Brian, there will always be the bigger bills to pay. And I kind of noticed that in my life, where it's almost like our society is set up on like sort of rungs. And as you move up the rung, all of the exact same problems exist across the social spectrum. So, ironically enough, we call them the institutions, whatever. They're just bigger players. And they all have the same social qualms. They, instead of us, bantering about what we said on social media, these guys will be like, well, did you hear what Bob said on the golf course last week? So, in a weird sort of way, also too, the world kind of works in that sort of, kind of buddy-buddy sort of system. So, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And, of course, I think the fraternity system, yeah, there you go. So, certain neighborhoods in the Hamptons, some people are acceptable neighbors in the Hamptons, and some people are unacceptable neighbors. And, oh my God, the neighborhood's gone to the dogs. Who let those people move in here? Right? That kind of nonsense. So nothing changes. I mean, you could be living on fucking Skid Row, and it's the same silly human interactions. And guys that are peddling heroin or crack or fucking even dime bags of pot. It's the same social hierarchy. It's bizarre how this human species works that way. So, ironically enough, you might think that as you move up the food chain, it gets bigger and bigger, and they all of a sudden, like once you get to a certain level, they're all actually friends, and they all work together to fuck us poor people over. Well, it doesn't really work that way. So, I hope you can appreciate that. If anything, what ends up, and I've talked to you guys in these videos before, what ends up happening in this crazy world is it's like Sassy and the box. There's a lot of people that are in the box. They don't even realize they're in the box, but they do everything. Everything about their lives is all pre-programmed. Going to the right schools, pledging the right fraternities, playing the right sports, graduating with the right degree, having the right spouse, and then having the appropriate amount of kids, and just everything is incredibly pre-programmed. What I'm asking you to do is sort of step outside the box and just understand that actually all these players, they're incredibly cliche. It all boils down to two words. Does anybody know what those two words are? And even these big players, and a great example is, that Big Short when, they didn't really go into Lehman Brothers too much, but Lehman Brothers is a really good example where, there was somebody who had their nuts caught in the caught in the ringer. I can't remember what it was. It might have been long-term capital management. Because when they went under, it was a huge loss. Everybody lost a lot of money. And it was interesting because Lehman Brothers, they kind of were, they were like a pillar of Wall Street. They've been around for a long time. But they kind of pissed off the wrong people. And they didn't want to let a certain debt go. They didn't want to relieve a certain player. And I think it was the long-term capital management guys. I can't remember. But what was really interesting was in the 2008 financial crisis, the only major sort of pillar of Wall Street that was let to fail was Lehman. Because Lehman kind of broke the sort of Wall Street rule that they all kind of sort of protect each other. And in the previous crisis, they were kind of assholes. And they really tried to screw somebody over. So that when it came to the next crisis and they were caught, nobody came to their rescue. So maybe Bear Stearns as well, BT. I don't really remember. I know Lehman in particular, they were really arrogant. And there were a couple of people on Wall Street that were really pissed off. And also, too, it's never politically correct to say, but, Brian, I'm not very politically correct, but Lehman Brothers was run by a certain sort of part of our society and ethnic background, and they didn't make a lot of friends with the WASPs, let's say. And the WASPs, think about it. George Bush Sr., the irony of it all is when George Bush Jr. ran for president of the United States, I think it was his second term, the guy he was running against, John Kerry, was a fraternity brother of his. They were in the same fucking class at Yale. So it was like, you're not really getting a choice here, people. You're getting big dose of WASP or big dose of WASP. What do you want? So, let's call a spade a spade. When you go back to East, the Hamptons and all that kind of shit, Skull and Bones, that's right. Let's call a spade. Who's really running this fucking world, right? So, Lehman, and that's the funny thing with Goldman, right? Because Goldman, for a long time, has been kind of like, hey, we want to be part of the cool club. We want to be part of the cool club, right? And they've forced their way in. You could say Goldman is exactly like the Rothschilds with the Bank of England. It's identical. No, that's not going to get bride shot, is it? But I would say that the similarities are shocking. Anyway, okay, let's keep moving on. Then I got to head off to Liam here. All right, so Longbow, I hope that helped answer that question. So to a certain degree, yes and no. Keep in mind too that a lot of times, especially in like these summer markets, the kids are actually left to run the trading desks. I remember I worked at one brokerage firm here in Vancouver, and just this younger guy, he was maybe like 35, 40 years old. He had two partners, and think of like The Big Short. Think of the way that guy had his team, right? That's actually how a lot of brokerage houses work, is sort of like there's a head honcho guy, and then there's like a couple lieutenants. And so through like an illiquid summer market where the adults are off in the Hamptons, might they call around and say, hey, you see that liquidity pool up there? Yeah, we're going to run after it. We're going to try and hit the stops. You want to join the party? That could very easily happen. I would say in a regulated market like the stock market, not so much. But something like Forex? Absolutely, because Forex is totally unregulated. Something like cryptocurrencies? Absolutely, totally unregulated. I might argue that within cryptocurrency, you probably see more Chinese activity along those lines than the WASPs. I think the WASPs actually are a little bit slow. And the WASPs, I think to a certain degree, they're very comfortable in their Wall Street sort of environment. And they're only realizing now that they actually might have been caught with their pants down a little bit there. And things like Luna could come along and steal their stock market lunch, which scares the hell out of me. I tell you, when Wall Street starts saying, hey, you're going to start actually taking my lunch, taking my food out of my mouth, well, they're going to sick the politicians after these guys to stop this. So I don't know how that's going to play out. It scares the hell out of me. Anyway, so long and short of it is yes. They can't be too blatant, though, right? Because if you have your fingerprints all over something and you're caught, well, then you're screwed. So a lot of this industry around trading is like, you can get away with it as long as you get away with it, but as soon as you're caught, I know nothing about you. I don't endorse you. I'm going to throw you under the bus to save my own career. So just understand that. And oh, by the way, you have to make a certain quota. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, I'm gone. You're at the wheel. If you do anything illegal, it's your neck in the news. And I want to make sure, I want to see those quota numbers by the end of the month. So, I mean, that's the worst part about Wall Street, is that it corrupts people. It gets you to lose your morals very quickly in the name of money, which is very, very sad. Number 5, does a candlestick's color matter on a fractal? Yeah, I remember you asked this through the week. Generally speaking, you want, bullish fractals. You want that color at the bottom, the doji ideally to be green. Because if it's red, then what ends up happening is a gap is formed. I don't know whether we can show you this or not. Probably not off of these things, maybe off of this. So, here, for example, this is a bearish fractal. Boom, boom, boom. The problem with this being an up bar, that green bar like that, means that, like, if we change this to a bar chart, you'll see that actually this candle closed up here. This candle opened up here means that there's actually a price gap. There's a hole in the charts right up there. So I would prefer that this candle be a red candle down and then this just open up down so that it doesn't potentially leave that gap there. So I hope you can see, like, this is a bearish fractal. I mean, the irony of it all is this signal valid? Well, I think it is. We just keep working our way lower here. I suppose you could argue this is a bearish fractal as well. Again, though, see how we closed here, we opened up here. That means technically there's a price gap here. And you can even see on this bar, we did go up, then we came back down. I might argue that this gap actually, if we went down to, like, say, like a 10-minute chart, those gaps probably are still wide open. Yeah, so that's up here. So, yeah, there's that fractal. So you can see that because this candle finished up and then the next candle opened up down and finished down, there's a hole on the charts up there. Now, it's interesting. We call this like an island top up here. So that is bearish. But nonetheless, that's a vulnerability that I would prefer not to see. Can you have your candle pattern work, even though it is a green candle on an up fractal? Sure. As you can see, that seems to work fine. And you can see even here, boom, boom, boom. Look at this one, right? We finished, this is a fractal there, and we actually gapped open all the way down there, and then puked out all the way next day down here. Did that 3-bar fractal signal work? Yeah, it did. I'm not going to say absolutely necessary. What I'm going to say is it's more like a sort of preference, personal preference. Here's another one. 3-bar fractal. You can see we closed up here. This one we opened up there, so there's a bit of a gap right there. We come out the next day, that confirms. Market just tanks down the next day, rallies right back up, all the way back down here. Was that signal valid? No, I think so. You can see this one left a gap even though it was a down candle. The only problem I have with this size of this formation is, if you're going to take that trade going short there, you got to risk all the way up top there. That's a lot of risk. I don't like that. I like, when you have a nice inside bar here. So the risk on this trade, hopefully you see the difference, right? And this is probably more what you have to learn. Not really, is it a big green candle, red candle? Does that make a difference? More like, well, if I'm going to take this trade, how much risk do I have to take? And sure enough, boom, out I go. I went short there. I was, oh, okay, you're smart. No, you're stupid. Oh, I'm smart. No, you're stupid. Versus something like this little guy right here, where that's a heck of a lot less risk. Hell, look at that. You even got a 2 to 1 on just that size of that risk. So that's probably more important, is what's the size of the risk that you're taking on your fractal versus what the actual candle colors are. Okay, let's see how we're doing on this Q&A sheet. 6. Do crypto stocks lead the cryptocurrency market or vice versa? I think they should lead. I think so. I guess it also really depends too on the sort of grade of stock. And that's kind of the weird thing about crypto in this silly market state right now, is that something like you can definitely just go and get like a Bitcoin ETF. Where's that one? There's one in Canada. Well, anyway, I have it up here. Let's see what the hell it is. There it is. BTCCB. So I went and picked some of this up down here on the puke out. Would I expect to see this turn up first before the Bitcoin cash market? Yeah, I think I would. There's also this guy. It was also interesting too, and I don't know whether it was correlative. I don't know if that's a word or not. But there's this guy put in this huge outside downside key reversal. So you could argue in the stock market, this is basically like was like a Bitcoin ETF kind of proxy, a whole bunch of sort of Bitcoinish type assets. That flashed a big sell signal there April 14th, and it confirmed April 15th. So if we go back to Bitcoin and we say April 14th, April 15th, where was this thing then? So April, oops, that's not it. Not here. April 14th was... there. That's funny. So you tell me, whoever asked this question, would that have been a pretty good signal for you to respect? Is the stock market leading the cryptocurrency market? I don't know whether you have taken our education program or not, but outside downside key reversals, that's pretty powerful shit. So there you go. I think that's your answer. And I suppose you could argue this thing didn't M out until all the way over here. That was a month later. Oh, gee whiz. And then also too, I believe that this whole cryptocurrency market was totally a function, this whole rally, it's totally a function of the Coinbase IPO. But that doesn't seem to be a very popular sentiment. But that's what I think happened here. It had nothing to do with Bitcoin at all. But oh well, what can I do? Okay, last question. Hi Brian, can you show us how to use the 3 indicator that we've learned in level in a lower time frame, i.e. 15-minute chart? Well, I think actually I did to start off the broadcast here. I was talking to you about gold. So this is like a, what is that? That's a 3-minute chart. You can see the bull divergence in MACD. You should have learned that. See, it's building rather nicely. And actually, I love using these divs here to help lower time frame trades. You can see the div here. Willie Stupid, RSI oversold. Mind you, we really haven't used RSI too much in this program. You want to wait for the W in OBV. Nice little volume impetus signal right there. You can see the bulls waking up. And you can see the bears falling asleep. You can see the W in price. So, just based purely off of the divergence. Willie Stupid. I'm going to buy the W. In the course, we want you to try and concentrate on 2 to 1 risk reward. And gee whiz, I would have had you taking profits on this rally right here. Pretty simple stuff. And you could also even say, well, you know, that Beamish guy in that course told me that I should use things like 50% rules as profit objectives. And gee whiz, what a coincidence. Do you see how the 50% rules right in that level as well? So actually there is an absolute textbook example of everything that I'm trying to teach you in this course. Just as simple as that. Fact, yep, really stupid. Bull div, double bottom in price. 50% level is the objective. Risk against the double bottom, 2-to-1 risk reward. If you had to wait, in fact, actually, we can even adjust that, right? There's 2-to-1. I mean, maybe you adjust your entry. Point here is you want to be taking profits at that 50% rule. You want to take profits on a tag of the VWAP too? Perfectly fine. So there you go. I totally did that on the fly. 3-minute gold chart. There's your answer. Hopefully you can see that. So I didn't do 15-minute charts. Sorry, I did a 3-minute chart. Even better. Okay, looks like that's it for the questions. So I'm gonna head off on into the sunset and try and give Liam an awesome afternoon. We'll of course probably go driving up in the mountains. Hope you guys enjoyed that offering. Go slowly through here. You know, my message all along here has been the same. I don't mind the idea of this being like that 2013 type scenario. If that's the case, then I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of final capitulation here in early July. And ironically enough, I think the final capitulation actually will set up a nice dead cat bounce rally trade, probably maybe even back up against these highs, tough to say. Then into the, and maybe not even like that, probably more like that. And then into the fall, I think there's one more crisis, and then that sets up, woohoo. So believe it or not, actually, that's actually not a bad sort of prognostication of what the hell our next few months are going to look like. I'd love to see these lows hold and the market turn back above that level. If that's the case, then we can actually start thinking about a base here right now, but for the time being we're just not getting anything. And you know, with regard to the altcoins and sort of junior market, actually the coin that I like to use is Litecoin as sort of a good proxy in this space, and I actually think that it's still pointing lower. Yeah, so this guy's got a bearish bot working. I don't see any reason why this can't be hit to the downside. I'm not really the biggest fan of shorting names all the way down here, but you know, somebody was asking on YouTube and stuff, you know, like, what would a short look like? Probably something along these lines. So 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, 4 highs, you know, cascading lower tops, 50% level move scratch at 113 and change. We'll start locking in profits down there on a test of this trend line down at 95 or $100, and ultimate puke out low here is about 75. So you know, if this is how we have to finish this, then that really wouldn't surprise me. So there's not really a hell of a lot of hurry here. So all right, everybody, thank you so much for your attention. Wish me luck with Liam. Thank you so much for the best wishes. You know, if you're kind of watching these videos and you're like, holy crap, this is over the top, try and understand that what we do is we try and run small businesses of trading with the expectation of making money from trading. So that means that we have very disciplined approach to what we do. We all work with trading plans. We all have, you know, obsessive about risk management. We trade setups. We have to have multiple reasons to justify taking a trade. If all of that seems very overwhelming, well, that's the whole reason why we put the education program together. It will help you get from not knowing anything to being able to run your small business of trading. No guarantees of performance, of course, from anybody. And really, I would say take advantage of the low prices because, frankly speaking, the way that they're hyperinflating this world, you know that those prices are going up. So take advantage of it while you can. And also, too, I'm super proud of this community. Really good people. Don't see anybody really on the site that actually is sort of nefarious and that I have to, go, hey, what the hell are you doing? So, great set of people to work with. I think on balance, day in, day out, we bring value. A good hour and a half of video every single day of the week. Actually, we're even going to try and do some broadcasts and stuff on different platforms in crypto. We have the weekend shows like this, which is sort of like interactive, trying to answer questions. We have the Crypto Top 100 shows midweek. And on balance, I think people in the space respect what we do. So, okay, have yourselves a great rest of your day. PMA for the win. Consider joining our program if you'd like. Try the 30-day trial just to kick the tires a bit. See if TRI is maybe a place for you. And understand, of course, September term is filling up relatively quickly. So if you want to just get that out of the way, you might as well book a seat now so then you don't have to worry about us selling out at that point. So have yourselves a great day. All the best. PMA for the win. And bye for now.